Hey everyone, today I want to bring you a quick review of the Photoolex M800C flash for Canon. They do have a Nikon model, I believe, and some of what I will say will probably apply to the Nikon model too. So the quick review is this: just like some of the other third-party flashes from Yongnuo and Neewer, this flash does tend to underexpose by half a stop to one stop. But other than that, the flash is really good and really good for the price and works just like any of the other third-party brands. So that being said, I can recommend it, especially if you're a beginner or somebody who just needs a second backup flash. Because underexposure is has so much to do with the flash and the camera and the algorithm, and the easiest thing is to just adjust for it. And as a photographer, you will get used to that with most flashes that you use anyways. Okay, so that's the short version. The long version of the review is this is a pretty well built flash. Everything is plastic pretty much, but it's good feeling plastic. It's not to the same level as Canon, but it is at the same level or better than Yongnuo and Neewer, which is two flashes that I have used before. I have used 5 different models from Yongnuo, from the YN468, which is one of their lowest model, all the way to YN600 EXRT, I believe it's called, which is used to be $200. So I've used quite a bit. Okay, so hot shoe is metal. It doesn't have a quick ring. It has a regular spinning ring, but it's not too bad because you only need like 2 turns or less. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. I apologize for the autofocusing noise. Okay, so you have your full twist like any other flash, and that works. There's no buttons to press like some of the older Canon. You just grab it and twist it, which I personally like, but some people do like it, that the locking mechanisms of the old Canon. It does have the built-in diffuser and reflector, so that's useful, just like any other flash. And then it does have high-speed sync, multi-strobe functions, and back curtain, front curtain sync. I'm not particularly very well versed on those functions, so I'm not going to comment on them. I'm going to talk about it from a perspective of an enthusiast and a beginner, because that's where I label myself. I've been doing photography for 5 years, but not so much with flash. Probably only started using flash a year ago, and I'm still sometimes uncomfortable. If you're a new person who's just getting their first DSLR and you're getting a Canon T4i, T5i, T6i, a 7DD, a 80D, a lot of people will tell you go buy a 50mm 1.8 lens. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great lens, but I tell people buy a flash before you buy the lens, because that lens is a narrow lens and it's good for portraits on a camera like the crop cameras that I mentioned, because it becomes an 80mm lens, or equivalent of an 80mm lens on a full frame. So it helps you take headshots in low light and shoulder and half body portraits. But if you want to take a family photo, if you want to take a wide angle photo, you need more light with a wide angle lens, and most of the people have 18 to 55 lenses. So a flash is a more useful accessory. And one of the best things you can do is mount it on a camera, point it up, and then your whole roof becomes a reflector of sorts, and gives you really nice smooth light. Okay, so this has your light right here, and then you have high-speed sync. You can turn on or off the beep. I turn it off, it's annoying to me. You can turn on and off this auto zoom function. So this basically, when you're using it on a camera and you're zooming, this will zoom, and I'll show you that. The rest of the modes are fairly easy. You have manual, and then you have a multi-mode, and then ETTL. And so I've used manual and I've used ETTL. And then one thing I read on the US Amazon was that the flash overheats after a couple of shots, and I think that person just had a bad flash, because I have it on max And I'm just gonna do it in front of you. I don't know if the video captures that, but oh yeah, it definitely does. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is, I'm just using rechargeable batteries from Amazon Basics. So as you can see, I've done 6 full power flashes, and it's working perfectly fine. So I think the person who mentioned that it heated up after 2 flashes was incorrect. Okay, so that's done. Now I want to show it to you on the camera. So the reason why I want to show you on the camera, let me just zoom out a bit. Okay, so on a Canon flash, if I change compensation, so this is your flash compensation right here, and if I change it to plus, and then I half press the trigger, it will change it on here. But when I do it with this flash or Yongnuo or any of the third-party flashes, it doesn't show that you have changed the flash exposure here. The other way works. If I change the exposure here, let me change it here. So I'm going to put it to plus 1/3 here. Hopefully you can see that. And then I press the trigger. You can see that this went plus 1/3. So what I'm saying is, if you change it here, it actually does change it, but the flash won't show it. But if you change it on the flash, then the camera will sync up and show it to you. So just be mindful of that. I personally like changing the flash exposure on the flash and then everything else on the camera. That's just what I got used to, rather than changing it here, because the buttons here are quicker to access. So for me it works great. But if you're the kind of person that's going to change it on the camera, then just remember to look at the camera for what your compensation is and not on the flash. So other than that, I will mention that it does come in a fairly nice box. I like the red color. It's very sturdy, nice fit and finish. Comes with a short but well written English manual. Comes with a little card telling you to do a review and a pouch to carry it. And it does come with one of those flash feet that you can mount the flash on and then set it on a table for using off-camera flash. Unfortunately, I can see it sitting over there attached to it. Let me just grab it quickly. I was using it earlier to hold my LED light, but I will take that off and show it to you guys. So this is the feet, and you just mount it like that, and then you can set it. And you have one here, your subject in the middle, you have some front lighting, and you on your way to using 3 flashes, which sounds pretty simple in practice, though it's pretty advanced, and I'm not going to say that I know how to do it. Anyways, I hope that this quick review was useful for you, and go out, take some more photos, learn a few things. Buy this one, or buy a Yongnuo, or buy a Neewer, and go out and take some photos. You don't have to go and buy the Canon one, especially when it comes to flashes. Sure, lenses, the high-end Sigmas and the Canons are best, and you're not going to buy a Neewer or a Yongnuo lens for sharpness or good quality pictures. But when it comes to flashes, honestly, I've been using one of my older Yongnuos 468s for 6 years now, on and off. I've dropped it. I use all kind of cheap batteries in it, and it works perfectly fine. Okay, that's it. Take care and happy holidays to you all.